Hey everyone, I'm Airwingmarine. Welcome back to the channel. My next Escape from Tarkov video. Patch 12.10, 12.10, whatever you want to call it, is upon us. It brought new crafts, new barters, new guns, new gear. And I'm a little late to the show, but I've got a couple of things I want to put in here that I don't think anybody else has. Especially the most important one that they fixed, and they fixed the full auto text at the bottom right hand of the corner. And we all know this was game breaking and tilt inducing. So yeah, it's fixed. Best patch ever. The rest of the stuff in the patch isn't even all that big of a deal compared to that. But we'll go over it anyways. So one of the other changes that I think is going to need a lot more investigation is the rework of the thermals. Now, they totally redid how these things function and work from the ground up. And in my opinion, they look a lot better. They operate a little bit more realistically now. Different gear like armors, rigs, visors, masks, glasses, helmets, ear pro, all of this stuff covers the thermal signature to different degrees. Some covered a ton, some covered a little bit, some don't really cover it very much. Gear basically doesn't stand out like it used to, especially stuff that's thrown on the ground. You know, it doesn't glow like it used to when you throw it on the ground, but you're not invisible because of the gear. The picture generated by the thermals overall looks better in my opinion. So I'll play around with this some more and get a video together talking more about this stuff, the SJ9 thermal, anti-thermal stim and stuff like that once we can get it all confirmed. Now, starting off with the items, they have updated the models for the 5.56 ammo and some of the 5.45 ammo, which is great because now you can tell these ammos inside a mag without having to pull it out. You know, there was no way to really tell the difference between 9.95, 8.55A1, 8.56A1. They all look the same for the most part. To dive into these real quick, we'll start off kind of in the middle here because that makes sense. 8.55 is green tip, which is what it is. That's in real life, it's called green tip. 8.56 is got an orange tip, and these are tracer rounds. 8.56A1 has a red tip, also a tracer round. 8.5A1 has a black tip, but I'm gonna blow this up. I'm gonna make this as big as I can here so you guys can see it. What it actually does is it's got this composite tip, if you will. It's like a different material, so you can see how it's got this hard line. That's 8.56A1. Now, if you go look at 9.95 right here, you can see that it also has a black tip, but this is a painted on black tip. It kind of reminds me of the 9.93. When you look at that versus the 8.5A1, they might be kind of hard to see inside the magazine, but that's going to be the big difference, is a hard, smooth kind of material changing black line, whereas this one's just painted. So that's 9.95. The new SSA AP round is a Sabo kind of round. It's kind of really weird looking, but that's what it looks like right there. Kind of a silverish back, kind of like AP63 almost. So that's what that looks like. I haven't seen any of this in raid yet, so you'll just have to keep an eye out for it. One thing I do want to mention, Warmage also has a black tip, but the bullets are completely different colored. If you look at the brass is darker and the tip is a lot smaller in how much of it that is actually painted when you look at it. Oh my God, I spun them. Here we go. Way smaller little tips. And you usually find Warmage. I find it the most often in raiders and like scav guards, Reshala mostly. So that's where to keep out for that. The MK225 it is it's a useless round. It's a meme round, if you will, filler material. It's got a white tip on it. Not worth it. The new SOST round doesn't have anything. And then you have the 55 HP and 55 FMJ don't have anything on them as well. The new SOST round is a bit of a disappointment. It was a USMC round designed for barrier penetration. I don't know. It doesn't have the stats or anything to really matter now. I think it's kind of a useless round as of now, but maybe it's got some stuff in the future when they go to bullet pen objects, you know, doors, things like that, because that's what this round was designed for. In the real world. So we'll see. I'm not totally sure on that. The 5.45 rounds, what you have now is, this may have been the way before, but I don't think it was. So BS ammo has this little black band right here at the base of the round. It's going to be pretty hard to see. The big one is BT is green tip now. And if you look, it's essentially the same as just regular tracer. Like there's no difference between these two models. So T and BT look the same. You can see 7N30N is in here. I'll move this out of the way. The big difference there is this is more like a bluish tip versus a greenish tip, and then the red sealant on the casing, that's kind of how you'll tell the difference on those. PS ammo has a little red band down here at the base. Those are the changes to the 5.45. The new 7.62 AP ammo, this is what it looks like. Kind of crazy, you know, similar to the 5.45, or I'm sorry, similar to the AP63 and this 5.56 AP round, these kind of composite rounds. So that's what that looks like. This round has 46 damage and 58 penetration. So by my quick assessment looking at it, this round has a moderate chance to 2-tap even level 6 armor, which is pretty cool. But for sure, it's probably going to 3-shot most of the time, at least. This will need some testing, but it's a significant step up from BP ammo, in my opinion, especially for like SKSs. But if you're running this, if you can find this, I think this is going to wreck players just as effectively and more so than BP when you run into like H-grids and slicks and stuff like that. The stats on the 5.56 ammo are 65 damage and 21 pen for the SOST. That's why this round isn't really functional. 21 pen isn't going to get you anything. It's got a little bit higher flush damage, but not that much. And then the SSAP round has 36 damage and 58 pen. So I'm not totally sure. This might need some testing, but I don't think this is going to have any greater effect on level 6 armor than 995 per se. There might be different instances with H-grids versus slicks or things like that. It's going to need a lot of testing. Right now, I won't run it until I get a chance to look at it because it's really expensive. But also, I don't think it's all that much of a bonus over 995, and I can craft 995. The new meds in the game, you've got AFAX and the CAT tourniquets, the hemostatic tourniquet CAT. These AFAX are basically 400 hit point IFAX. They work a little bit better. They've got a little bit better hits on stop and heavy bleeds and light bleeds than Salewa's, which is good. Then since they've got the same hit points, they only take up one slot. The only downside to these is they only heal 50 hit points. So if you get shot in, like let's say the chest with M61, right? It's going to do so much damage that if you heal with this, the next shot is going to kill you unless you heal twice. So that's an advantage that Salewa has. It heals you all the way full. These guys will only heal you 50. I think the AFAC is somewhere between a Salewa and an IFAC, closer to the Salewa side. If you want to run them, great. They're sold at Peacekeeper, along with the CATs. These are sold at Peacekeeper as well for dollars. I haven't really had a chance to use these and see if they're anything. I don't think they're going to replace the hemostatic bandages because these are 3-use versus 1-use. They're better than the Ursmerch tourniquets because those take 5 seconds. They take longer. This is 3 seconds. It's the same as the hemostat. But again, it's only 1 use, whereas these are 3. So we'll have to wait and see if there's anything hidden stat in there or if they're going to nerf hemostats or something that make these more viable. But right now, I'm just going to keep running hemostats. So next up, we have barter items. The first one being the TP200 TNT block. Now, this is used for barters and crafting. The thermite is a new item. It's used for barters only, and the ratchet is only used for crafting right now as of today. They might add more stuff in the following days, but as of today, which is Wednesday, March 31st, that's where we're at. The TP200 is used to barter for the Zabralo with proper. And one of the changes they made is they changed this barter to where now it's 2 cans of dynamite and 3 thermites, and then removed the Zabralo that you could buy from proper for $4 as well as the other barter. So you could say they replaced the barter, they changed the barter, whatever. You can't buy Zabralo for money from proper anymore. It's only that barter. The TP200 is also used in the hideout for crafting. So they changed the OFZ shellcraft, which let me go look at that real quick. This used to be a lion, so now it's 2 things of TNT. That makes this craft a lot cheaper. We're probably going to see OFZ shells come down in price because this whole overall craft now is cheaper. And because of that, that makes M995 cheaper because I believe that's the biggest place that OFZ shells were used was to craft 995, which makes that much easier. The TNT is also used now to craft RGDs. So this used to be 1 OFZ shell and 10 RGDs. Now it's 2 sticks of dynamite and it gives you 6 RGDs. Another little craft. I haven't had a chance to really look at it. Right now, if we look at the price of TNT at 60,000, this craft doesn't make any sense. But we'll see if TNT gets cheaper and go from there. The ratchet is used only in crafting of the graphics card right now, which we'll pop back in here. I went back and forth on you. So it's used in crafting graphics cards. They also upped from 4 CPUs to 8 CPUs now, and from 1 VPX to 2 VPXs. So graphics cards are going to get way more expensive because of all this. You're already seeing them push 2 million. I think we're going to keep seeing them go up, especially because ratchets don't seem to be a very common item. The other thing they changed, the VPX is also a bit increased. You need 2 SSD drives now instead of 1 to craft VPXs. That is also eventually going to increase the cost of graphics cards further. Because of these new components, demand is going to drop to a point where you're going to see prices come down. I believe we've already seen VPXs come down in price, which they have. CPUs have gotten quite a bit cheaper, more than half, even though the requirements have gone up because you have this new ratchet craft in here. This thing's costing nearly 1 million rubles to get this thing. That's going to slow down how many graphics cards are being crafted. On top of all this, they've also slowed down the graphics card craft to 100 hours and 27 minutes. The Bitcoin farm has also been slowed down. 1 card now gets you a Bitcoin every 30.556 hours, and 50 cards get you a coin every 9.648 hours. So they've added quite a bit of time since the start of the wipe to slow the process of Bitcoins down. Now, for where these spawn, I am not 100% sure yet. All of the confirmed spawns I've seen have been on labs, not a map I run very often. I'm going to keep checking a lot of the other maps to see if I can find these. But by what I've seen, since thermite and TNT are flammable materials, we'll look here and sort them in the flea market, as you can see here, falls under flammable as well as the TP200. So I'm suspecting that these share spawns with things like fuel conditioners, propane, gunpowders, fuel cans, all of those kind of spawns are where these are going to spawn. And that's kind of some of the spawns that I've seen on labs for both the thermite and the TP200s. I have not had anybody find them outside of labs yet, other than on bodies of players that found them somewhere, so we don't know where they found them, or in things like caches that have wide spawn chances for everything. So we'll keep looking. We'll try to track these down. If you find them, if you know exactly the kind of spawn it is, and it's a spawn you've seen something else there before, you know, kind of spawn, whether I always find gunpowders there, or I always find ammo there, or whatever it may be, make sure you hit it up in the comments. Let us know so we can kind of track down where these things spawn, so people can go get them if they need them. On the flea market side, they've made a couple of changes, quality of life stuff. The first thing, and I'll do it right here, I'm going to assume this TP200 brick was bought. If not, we'll buy it. But instead of an error message when something's bought, watch down here in the bottom right. When I purchased this, the offer was already purchased, but there's no screen that pops up anymore that tells you, it didn't work, that you have to click OK. And this is great and bad. I've been frustrated with it because that sound that it makes when you buy, I'm used to that being, okay, I got it, I can back out of my inventory, I hit escape, and then it's not there. I'm like, what the hell just happened? Where did the item go? So make sure you're watching that now when you're buying stuff. You get that error code, it refreshes. That's going to be the best way to see it, is down here in the bottom right. So keep an eye out for that. Okay, so, and one of the other things they did quality of life wise is they made the add offer window have memory. So wherever you put this now, so like if you put it over here and you back out, you come back into the flea market, you add offer, it's over here, right? So a lot of us, every time you'd click it, that thing would show up here and you drag it over so you could see your prices that you were going to list on the flea market. Well, guess what? Now, because of this, it's over there. Little thing, but actually a really big thing. I'm so used to it, wasn't bothering me, but now that it's here, I'm like, this is a great little quality of life change. Thumbs up, BSG, really like it. Thank you very much. Next up is the M32 headsets they added. I've only run a couple of raids with these, and between this and Steam Audio, still trying to get used to them. I don't like them very much right now, but that's personal preference and that may change. I suggest you try them and run them out. I've heard all sorts of explanations that they're somewhere between Comtacs and GSHs, or Comtacs and Razors. It's all on your own ears. So run them, figure out if you like them or not. They're available they're pretty affordable. You can buy it from Skier for $19.5 and usually cheaper on the flea market. On that note, there are ghost sounds in the game, ghost footsteps, if you will. You'll just be walking along and you'll hear a thud. It's usually the same sound, so you'll key into it, you'll learn what it is, and the more you play and recognize it. On offline raid, I hear them a ton. And online, I only hear them occasionally. And I hear them and I stop for a second, I go, oh, okay, that was a ghost footstep. It hasn't got me killed yet, thankfully, but they are in the game, so keep an eye out for that. Hopefully a bug fix is coming soon to those, because they really are annoying. On top of that, Steam Audio is in. I'm running with it off now, and I'll show you here where you do that. You go to sound. Oh, I don't have it turned off, son of a bitch. Well, we'll turn that off. But here's something, it's good, I can show you this. Now it says binaural, whatever that word is. This is Steam Audio. Steam Audio settings will be applied after game restart. So we'll save, and when I restart, it'll turn off. I'm gonna run with them off for a while. Sound location is really weird with them. I don't like it right now. I can't tell if it's a bug. I'm gonna play back and forth a couple of times and see what it is. But that is Steam Audio. If you want it on or not, that's where it is. So if you're thinking the game sounds really weird and gunshots are louder and grenades are harder to pinpoint and footsteps sound like they're coming from all over the place, that's it right there. It's the Steam Audio. Now, there's 2 new backpacks in the game. And I don't think they're game changers necessarily, but I think they're cool. So the Gunslinger is a 35 slot backpack. That means it is the same as an Attack 2 and how many slots it takes up. They're also the same size. Let me move this stuff out of the way and I'll show you. So they also take the same amount of space, right? Essentially same backpack inside and out, with the exception that instead of a bunch of slots, you have this. Now, this can limit you when looting. One thing I do like about it, though, is it does allow you to pick up a rig and a full-size firearm inside of here, along with a little bit extra gear. So if you have somebody that has like a TV-110 or ACPC, these are all the same size, right? It fits in there. And let me go find an M1A. So we all know how big an M1A is, right? This thing's one of the biggest guns when it's got a suppressor on it. Fits right in that backpack. And that's kind of what this is designed for. I think this is a great PvP rig. It's a lot cheaper than the Attack 2 if you look at it, because right now you can get it for $65,000 from Ragman level 4, but it's not that much more expensive on the flea market. Whereas if you go look at the Attack 2, save you quite a bit of money there. So if you are looking to save a little bit of money and you don't want to run Attack 2s, that's it. Also, these have a different profile. You can see how big the Attack 2 is. It stands out quite a bit. They're pretty easy to recognize when you see them in raid. The Gunslinger is not, when you go look at it. It still sticks out a little bit, but it's nowhere near as big as the Attack 2 and what it looks like. So that's cool in my opinion. A little bit sleeker of a backpack if that's what you want to run. There it is. Now, these takedown backpacks, these things are super interesting to me. So you can see how they're big, long, narrow, goofy looking things. They're 24 slots. So they're kind of restrictive, but if you open them up, you can fit a Blackrock in them or another tactical rig, where did I put that? Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. So 3x4 tack rigs and rigs you can put inside these takedowns. And what this does is it bumps you to whatever slot space it is. So we have 23 with a TV-110 and 20 with this Blackrock chest rig. So now we're at 43 points on a backpack that was originally only 24. So you can add a lot of space to these pretty quick. Plus, they're very, very sleek. When you go look at how you look as a character, there's almost nothing to them. So I think these are cool backpacks. We'll see how much they get used. We'll see if we start seeing them in raid a lot. I think one place that I'm going to use it quite frequently, and I don't know if I have one in here. Yep, I do. Look at this. Is this Blackjack backpack. I want to show you this right here because I think this is super cool. A Blackjack compared to a raid backpack, right? We know all how those look. Raid backpacks look like you're running around the house. This has got 42 slots. This has 48. So a GSH, you can fit 4 rigs in, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, it fits. You can't do that in a Blackjack. You can only fit 3 and then some smaller, or 2 or 3 or some smaller stuff down below. Well, if you take 2 of these, now I know this is super metagamer kind of nerdish stuff, but if you take 2 of these and open it up, what this does is it gives you a raid backpack inside a Blackjack now. You can put 2 rigs. Now this will make looting kind of hard, pain in the ass, but I just wanted to show it to you guys. It was something I thought was kind of cool, how you can stack these things. Now on the first day of the patch, you could actually stack these inside of one another and have an infinitely stacked backpacks. Whoops, looks like they fixed that. You can't stick them inside each other anymore. That's not a thing. You can't do that anymore. It was that way on patch day. Today they patched it out apparently, so good stuff. I skipped over the sunglasses. These are interesting to me. You buy them from Proper. You can buy 2 of them per reset. Otherwise, you got to buy them on the flea market. They are the only sunglasses that have armor. So they're armor class level 1. They have a low ricochet chance. They've got the little bit of protection on flashbangs. So they're available if you want. They're green. They kind of look cool. Now on to the new firearms. These things aren't huge in my opinion. They're cool to have. I love that they add new guns all the time. The PL-15 pistol. This is going to fall somewhere in my opinion between a Glock and the 5.7. It has 16 rounds, which is good. It shoots really well. I've shot it in raid a couple of times. I'm not a huge pistol guy, but I've talked to some guys that are, and they really like them. They really like how they handle. And you can put the higher end 9mm ammo in it and slay out with people on face shields if you're good at tapping faces. But it still requires Proper level 3. and it costs right there at 18,000 or 30,000 if you're getting on the flea market right now. And the components can be a little expensive. As you can see, the magazines are selling for quite a bit, like most rare pistol mags are, unless you can buy them from proper. Now, the STM9, straight up, this gun isn't going to be very impactful to the game, in my opinion. First off, it's a 9mm. And we're at the point in the game now where 9mm isn't that effective. If you're running class 5 or 6 armor, you're just going to laugh at 9mm most of the day, unless you're really good at tapping heads, which then it doesn't really matter what ammo you're shooting for the most part. But it's semi-auto, so it's even more hamstrung. This is going to fall into the round of like a standoff weapon, kind of like an M1A is. You can use it up close, but it's going to be, you're going to lose more fights than you're going to win with something like this. It's super cool to play around with. I've done a couple of raids with it. It can be a lot of fun. It's an absolute laser beam. This build here I did is a minimum recoil. I got it down to 19 recoil, and I can take it into the range and dump a 50 round mag as fast as I can click. And that spot at the end of the range in the hideout is just this hole. Like you can't, it doesn't move. So it's pretty impressive on that end. And you can kit it out more than an M4, I think, or just as much as an M4, actually more because of the magwell. But it's interesting little gun. If you have the money, play around with it. It's not very expensive. The stock model comes from Skier at 44,000 rubles. I believe it's level 3. Let's go look real quick. Let's go look at Skier and see if he's level 3. I should have checked that before I started the video. So yeah, it's level 2. You can get it from him at level 2, but you can't really get many of the parts until you have him level 3. This is where like all the longer barrels and stuff are. But I still think like this is the long barrel, the 14-inch. I think it's pretty cheap on the flea market. So if you want to play around with it, by all means do. I think it's interesting gun to try out, and I think we're going to see people try to do some Shooterborn in Heaven stuff with it. One Pay got a cool video. He was shooting guys at like 300 meters on reserve with it, which is pretty impressive. But otherwise, I don't think it changes much. In my opinion, it's probably a toy gun. Some team lead or even Nikita himself had at BSG, and they wanted it in the game, so they added it, which I can't blame them for that because I would probably do the same thing if I was creating a video game. I'd put all my guns in it too. Moving on, BSG also changed a ton of the spawns on customs. Now, I don't know if we've seen all of them. We've got a bunch of them. We ran customs pretty much all day yesterday trying to figure out where the different spawns were at. So the few that we've noticed, the first one is going to be outside Big Red on the, if you say the north side of the map, up by Crossroads, along that wall. If you're running there for extract, people run along that wall by the bushes. You'll spawn on that wall kind of next to Big Red across the street. Then the next one is on the train tracks behind the gas station. I didn't actually spawn here ever yet, but we watched Landmark spawn there on his stream, so we know it's there. Next to this, and these might be the same spawn. It's kind of hard. They're kind of close to each other, but not really the same spawn. You spawn right behind the hole in the wall, behind camp, behind 2-story. So it's the old close spawn to customs, but now it's a little bit closer. And I believe they did this because the spawn on the opposite side, which is behind 3-story, where you used to spawn on the other side of Junk Bridge, now instead of spawning there, I think you spawn at Smuggler's Boat, but I think it's replacing that because we didn't spawn on any of the spawns that are right next to the river, on the Big Red side of the river, on Customs side of the river. We never spawned on that side of the river on the train, those 3 spawns that you can spawn there. We always spawned on the other side. So instead of spawning by the bridge, by Junk Bridge, now you spawn right above the Smuggler's Boat extract on the hill. So those are the 2 close spawns to dorms now. So, I mean, you're talking about getting in fights in dorms as fast as you would in factory almost. The other spawns we noticed were over at Crack House, kind of 2 locations. Once we spawned by the tech crate that's outside there, by that Connex lifting machine and the trailers. And then another time we spawned closer to Hole in the Wall there by the bushes. So those are 2 spawns that definitely exist. And again, I think those ones replace the ones where you spawned on the other side of the river, right there next to the river though. And then the last one we noticed is we spawned at Giving Tree behind Old Gas. So even that one's a little bit closer than where you were spawning before. We still did spawn on the other side over there by the power building once. So that spawn is still there. It's just like they made the spawn area bigger or something. It's hard to tell. But if you guys hit any more spawns up, if you see any more new ones or ones that you notice changed, let us know in the comments down below. You're still spawning at Trailer. You're still spawning at Road to Customs. We got those spawns. So they're still in the game. Once we get all the spawns together, we'll throw a map up and show everybody where all the spawns are for customs. Couple things to wrap it up. Sniper scavs are back. They shoot at you from a long ways away and they yell at you a lot. So make sure you pay attention to that. A lot of us have gotten used to playing on customs and not having sniper scavs around and just running by. You will get picked off pretty quickly by them guys if you're not paying attention. So that pretty much wraps it up. This isn't everything that changed, but it's the big points that I wanted to talk about. I hope I added some value to your day, and I appreciate you hanging out and watching. We'll see you on the next one. Well, that wraps up the video. I appreciate you watching. Make sure you hit that like button because it helps out the channel a bunch. And subscribe for future content. We also have a Discord, links down in the description, that you can come join. We're filling up with a bunch of chill people who just love to play Tarkov. If you're looking to support the channel in other ways, we've launched a Patreon with some benefits like access to a Discord channel, constantly updated spreadsheet for my hideout calculations, and some other things if you want to go check it out over there. Lastly, thanks for your support on YouTube. It means the world to me and I greatly appreciate every one of you. So with that, we'll wrap it up, and we'll see you in Tarkov.